Alright, today the first site that I'm going to look at is actually one that I covered in a previous video, and this site is an Italian fan site known as Toonchill. Thanks to Maddie, I was able to actually find the website, and it is still up and running. And I was actually able to find the page with the Babbitt clock, and there's actually a picture. I'm not sure if this is the clock itself, but there's a picture there to kind of represent what I'm assuming is supposed to look like. So there is a download link, so once again it is an exe file, and they have a thing here that says, there's no virus attached to this, but I'm paranoid, so I'm too afraid to download it. But it's still intact, which is very cool, so definitely check that out. And another page on here is that I found really cool is there's actually a page dedicated to the author of Kodocha, Miho Obana, and it has some interesting facts about her on the page. So it has her name, her date of birth, which is April 26th, where she lives, which is Tokyo, her blood type, which is AB, and if you didn't know, in Japan, blood types are similar to how people use astrology in the West. It's a big indicator of how your personality is supposed to be, which is really interesting. And speaking of that, it actually has her zodiac sign here too. She's a Taurus, so based on that, I'll get along with her pretty well, I guess. I'm a Gemini, and I've had friends who are Tauruses, and we've always gotten along pretty well. In fact, I think my best girlfriend is a Taurus, so. And her favorite foods are spicy foods. Profession mangaka, which I guess means a manga artist. I'm not sure, I'll have to look that up. If you know what that means, let me know in the comments. And I like how it says here what he hates. That might have been a misspelling by Google Translate, since the site is in Italian. I've had to use Google Translate because I only know English. Alright, and she hates spiders, which, yeah, who doesn't hate spiders? Her favorite sport is baseball, which baseball is really big in Japan as well, from what I can understand. Distinguished features, very reserved, yeah. Physical appearance. Do you remember her in the episode Correct Answer? That's the episode I was referring to in my iceberg video, actually, where she makes a cameo appearance, and it's the episode where it's a quiz show, and they answer questions about things that happened previously in the series. So it's kind of like a compilation episode of like the best moments from the show at that point. Dream in a drawer. Not sure what that means, but let's read it. Retire without regrets in a very long time. I get the feeling that that sounds more eloquent in Italian, but, we gotta make do. If anybody watching this video speaks Italian, let me know what that phrase is supposed to say or mean. So I feel like it's a very shoddy translation. Okay, and she made her debut with Mado no Mukua in 1991. Very cool. And there's a picture next to the information here, and it looks like a little ID card. It's really cute. Alright, and finally the last section of this site that I wanted to show off today is the fan art section. Now we finally get to see all the unique fan art on this Kodocha fan site, which was not coming up on the Wayback Machine version. And there's a lot of really good fan art here. Like, I'm very impressed. So I'm assuming that most of these fans who sent in this fan art, they were Italian. It actually says on some of them, their names, how old they were, and where they're from, and it looks like they're from different places in Italy. And there's some very impressive work on here, and some of these kids are only 10, 12 years old. It's really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and showcase some of the best fan art that I found on this website. Have a look. next site that I'm going to look at today is, and I hope I don't pronounce this wrong, but I believe it's called Lamia Stelina. I don't know if it's the name of the person who created this site, or it's just a fake name, but it's a pretty name. And this site has some interesting graphics on it, and there's 2 pages that I would like to cover today on this site. And the first page that I found to be probably the best list of all the censorship in the Italian version was on this site, and so I'm going to look over it today. So the first thing that they mention here is how they hide the fact that Sana's makeup artist in the first episode, he's actually gay, and he has a crush on Rei, and that is actually censored in the Italian version, which I believe it was actually censored in the English version as well, which is a bit odd because, you know, it makes me think back to the whole Sailor Moon cousins deal, if you know what I'm talking about. Sailor Uranus, I believe it's Sailor Neptune. It's been a while since I've seen those seasons. In the original English dub of Sailor Moon, they're actually cousins, but, you know, in Japan, they're, you know, a lesbian couple, so, so that was back in the 90s, so I believe the Kodocha English dub came out in 2005 or 2006, somewhere in there, and, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's starting to get in that area where, you know, it's more acceptable for that to be a thing in anime and animation. It wasn't quite there yet, but it was getting there. You know, the LGBT representation in shows, and, you know, stopping the censoring of, you know, those kind of relationships. But I was gonna say that I find it odd that, you know, we have Sana in the, and I'm going off the English dub because that's the only version other than the Japanese that I've seen. You know, Sana's calling Rei her pimp, and, you know, we didn't censor that, but we had to censor, you know, a gay character. I just, personally, I find that to be a little odd, but I don't know. Alright, so, let's see here. So another interesting thing here that was censored, there was an episode 3, Tsuyoshi's reading a book in one scene, and it's titled, How to Console a Woman. But apparently in the Italian episode, it's a book about caterpillars. That's, yeah, that's kind of stupid. And of course, there's mention of how, you know, Kido's called the son of the devil in the Italian version, and he's not called Little Devil like he is in the Japanese and English version. So let's see what else here. I guess the last most notable censored scene they discuss here is actually one of the scenes, it's in episode 7, where Sana is in bed with Rei, and Rei's kind of, you know, patting her head, and, you know, she's drifting off to sleep, and apparently that scene was cut, which I can see why that might have been cut. You know, when I actually first watched Kodocha, I was surprised by some of those scenes. You know, at first I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. But, you know, once you watch the story and you understand what's going on, it makes sense, and it's not creepy. I will say, however, the Takashi arc, that was a little uncomfortable, but, you know, I feel like that's debatable. Let me know in the comments what you think about that arc, actually. Okay, so the last page I'm going to look at on this site, it's not going to be a really lengthy one, but it's called Transformations. And it covers all the times that anyone in the show has transformed into basically an animal or just anything weird. Which that was really fun. I really like this page. They got everything. I was surprised at how in depth it was. So of course they have all the Aikido transformations. You know, you have the boss monkey, which that was always one of my favorite parts of the series when she called him the boss monkey. You have when he turns into the cheetah, which is the most famous Aikido transformation. And of course one of my favorites, the little bird Aikido.
Hey there, man. What you looking at, man? I'll peck you, man.
And of course they have all of Sana's transformations, and they have a few of Tsuyoshi as well. And that's about it for this page.